Hello, welcome back to the gutter, the Grindhouse gutter, and it's a milestone episode. We don't necessarily number these things, but we kind of have our own in-house accounting, and this is the 50th episode of Grindhouse Gutter. Believe it or not, I think it's about 4 years we've
Mm.
been doing this series. Yeah, almost exactly 4 years that we've been doing this series here on YouTube. So, the main point of this series is that we talk about B movies, Grindhouse classics, drive-in flicks and stuff like from the 60s, mostly the 70s and maybe a little bit of early 80s, right? So, and we let the
Mhm.
professor kind of curate these things. So, with that in mind, Smoke, what did you bring us this month?
Yes, for this one it was 1979 kung fu flick, The Eunuch of the Western Palace. I've said this tagline before, at least on the back of this DVD. It says, "Can anyone stop Wangless Wang?" So
Which, I was really thinking that would play a bigger part in this movie than
yeah,
it did. Like, it doesn't, it's brought up,
yeah,
but it's not like a major plot point, I don't think, or anything.
yeah. I think the biggest thing about that aspect of it is the somewhat, I guess you'd say, controversial beginning scene, right? That
Yeah.
shows that has a narrator. And it's in dub. This the version I watched. The version I always watch of any kung fu film is the dubbed version because that's the to me that's the grindhouse experience of it is watching the English dub. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it puts more humor into it. I know because of the ridiculousness sometimes of the dubbing or whatever. I'm sure it would come across more serious if you watch it in the Mandarin or whatever variant of
Yeah.
Chinese language that it might be in with the subtitles in English, but. I never watch them that way when it comes to the kung fu movies. I'll watch the other stuff, certain other movies that way. But yeah, these I think part of the charm is the dubbing.
Oh,
But this one
absolutely.
is the
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
this one, it's like, it's, I've seen worse, but
Oh
it's,
yeah, yeah. This
it's
one's
not
not
great.
bad. It's
Some of these are
yeah,
just like the voices that they select. It's like, really? Now, I don't think that dude sounds like that kind of thing, but
yeah.
I've
Now
seen
sometimes
worse.
they play up that even more comedic, where it's somebody's voice doesn't sound like at all like you would expect it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, it's not too glaring in this one. I mean, they try to do it, as best they can or whatever. They don't do anything that particularly humorous on purpose. I don't think in this one for the dubbing. There's
No.
a couple places I noticed where it was way off though. Like I mean, dubbing is always going to be off, because Chinese to English language or whatever. It's always the lips aren't going to match. But there was a couple of scenes in this particular version I watched, which was like I said, this is the Crash Media, I think it is the Venom Mob films editions of these. Which Venom Mob is the some of the actors from Five Venoms. Anytime they're in these kung fu movies, they'll
Mm.
call them a Venom Mob movie if it features one of those actors. But this is a particularly cheaper DVD company. So I don't know how y'all watched it. You might have seen the same version online if you watched it online. But did y'all also look like it was basically a VHS, a 4:3 aspect ratio
Yeah.
VHS rip?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Whenever
that's
I was
probably the
looking around,
same.
I was looking at like the first one that I pulled up. I was like, man, this looks like crap. Maybe this other place has a better one. And then that looked like crap. I'm like, all right, well, all these
Yeah,
are gonna look like crap.
I haven't ever looked into it too deep on this one to see it. First of all, this is the first time I watched this too. We'll get into that about how good or not the movie was or whatever. But yeah, the additions I've never looked it up to see if there's a better version than this one out there. Maybe there is, maybe there's not. But one detriment to this movie is this version of it because there's a lot of fight scenes in the dark at night or inside of a structure of some sort where it's dark kind of. So the dub from VHS and all that stuff and not being remastered definitely didn't help this any as far as those being able to see some of those fight scenes.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, overall, what you kind of look for in these kind of movies is the cool fighting scenes and all that stuff. So like,
Yeah,
it's definitely not a nonstop action type of flick, but it delivers enough of that to where you
yeah,
feel.
it's got a decent amount of that. I mean, it's not like you said, it's not nonstop, but it's not like some might have more dialogue and less fight choreography. This one isn't that way, but it does. But the fight choreography that is here is okay, but it's not a Shaw Brothers film. First of all, I forget what is it, something amusement. I forget the
Yeah,
name of the production company, something amusement
something
incorporated or
like real
something.
generic sounding, like
Yeah, yeah.
Fun
So it's
Amusement
not even
Corporation or something.
yeah. So it's not even Golden Harvest either. Those are probably the two biggest ones in Hong Kong at the time were Shaw Brothers and Golden Harvest as far as martial arts films. So I mean it looks kind of like that. It doesn't it's not the cheapest kung fu movie I've ever seen. I mean there's very there you could do much worse than this as far as bad choreography or even where bad acting or whatever you want to call it or a storyline just being really really super generic or whatever.
Yeah.
But this one's kind of I would put it in there with Shaw as far as like a middling kind of Shaw Brothers movie. Like I said, it's not terrible and it's not the greatest kung fu movie by any means. Like I said, the first time I've seen it too. Uh, it's a lot of espionage, a lot of political espionage going
Yeah.
on, and the whole eunuch thing, like you mentioned, is really just mentioned at the beginning with narration showing what they would do to make these. They were at a very young age. I forget what age they say they were. They were
I,
young boys, pre-teens or whatever,
yeah. Yeah.
when they would get made eunuchs. I don't know. I'm sure that that's probably true or whatever. I didn't really look into the truth of the eunuchs and things of that. I know it's more than just not just Chinese culture that had that,
Yeah.
but they were done that way because they would be interacting with the women and all these things, and they didn't want them to have any sort of sexual relations with the women or whatever. So that's why they were eunuchs. But apparently, Wangless Wang in this movie, they introduce him in sort of in that after that intro scene where they're talking about eunuchs and how they were, what they did to make them that way and everything. Then they mentioned that this guy Wang was his family was, I guess, rich and everything, well off, and so they might have got him that position as a eunuch without him having to go through actually being a eunuch. So maybe he still has his Wang. He's not Wangless Wang. I don't know, but
It's never fleshed out.
it's true. Yeah. And all of that is really like he's not even really the biggest part of the movie. Really, it's just the espionage behind the scenes. He's trying to come to power, and then you have all these other factions of these warriors that are getting together to kind of stop that, right? So
Yeah.
there's a lot of that dialogue and talk about that. So that doesn't necessarily make for the most interesting
And then
aspects of this movie.
there's the one random guy that just keeps popping up that's like warring with himself about whether to help or not, and, and he's dying of
Yeah,
tuberculosis.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Every scene he's in, he's coughing, or so he
Yeah.
gets near the end and he's coughing blood, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
I mean, it's interesting. It's just not, like I said, nonstop action. You know,
yeah,
it's
it's not on the level of like if you're looking to get into kung fu films and you really haven't seen anything but Bruce Lee movies, maybe or something, this isn't one you want to go to. You'd
no,
want to go with some of the ones we did earlier on Grindhouse Gutter, like Five Deadly Venoms, Five Fingers of Death, or even Master of the Flying Guillotine. Because that one, while it's not a Shaw Brothers movie, and it's the production on that might have been a little bit below Golden Harvest or Shaw Brothers. Master of the Flying Guillotine is very interesting because of the villain with his weapon or whatever. Now this movie's got an interesting weapon in it, but it's not used that much. Remember the one it's basically like some kind of glorified version of brass knuckles with those big spike things, and they actually launched the spikes off into this one guy, right? Like that, like projectile spikes off of his whatever that thing, whatever this weapon is. I'm sure it's a lot of these kung fu movies will come up with, they'll be traditional weapons like this. Most of the weapons in this movie are spears and swords, but just that one guy has that whatever that weapon is, and a lot of these movies will come up with something like that where there'll be an interesting weapon. It's not even really a traditional weapon, martial arts weapon in China or whatever, but it's interesting in the context of the movie. Like the Master of the Flying Guillotine, the guy had the bamboo hat with the guillotine like switchblade blades that came out that he would throw and was connected to a chain that he could pull it back. Stuff like that is interesting when you see it in the movies. This one though, it only has that one weapon. It's not used a whole lot in the movie, so it's mostly open hand combat, right?
yeah,
No, not that many weapons, and the weapons that are in here are like spears and swords and things of that nature. So, but I think the fight choreography is handled well. It's just not necessarily all the most interesting things going on. I mean, it's fine. It's not terrible. They're not. Of course, I mean, they're always going to have good kung fu fighters in these movies, so that's never a problem.
this
It's
one
just
tries to
how is
have
it
it,
shot
it
and
tries to have
edited.
like a more interesting story, but it also kind of feels chopped up to me. So maybe
Yeah, yeah,
I do think there is a longer version. I think this dub version that we probably all watched is actually shorter than the original cut. I didn't
yeah.
look
That could very well be.
yet, so like I think it's a little choppy because of that, story wise. Um,
Yeah,
one of
and
the guys,
it's a little hard to follow. Maybe, and that might be why. That's probably why. Maybe it is a cut trimmed down version. They might have trimmed out more of the dialogue stuff to get more
yeah,
of the fights in there
some of that
to make
like
the pacing a little bit
the
more
political stuff is
better.
this is China, and then like the eunuch right is bringing in some dudes from Japan. So
Yeah, yeah,
there's a whole thing there, with that. So
yeah.
they
Now I
probably
will say that
cut some of that
the
stuff out.
climactic battle scene at the end is awesome, right? And because it's in the snow,
Oh yeah, yeah,
and it involves, I guess, I mean, because it is Japanese involved, so maybe those were ninjas.
yeah,
I don't
possibly.
remember in that snow scene they had white uniforms on, their faces covered. They didn't necessarily look fully like ninjas, but maybe they were supposed to be. They didn't even say that they were, but the Japanese are involved in here in part of the political plotting and everything.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but
One of the guys in this is Lo Lei, who was in Five Fingers of Death, 36 Chamber of Shaolin. So those are probably better examples. Like you said, the Venom
Yeah,
operator.
yeah.
I think that's him. So
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
they're
We
probably,
did do 36 Chamber Shaolin on here too before. It's
yeah,
also called Master Killer.
and
And
those are
that's
and
an
both
excellent
both
yeah.
those flicks that we just mentioned. Those are awesome. So you need to go check those out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, like I said, if you're only familiar with Bruce Lee and you're looking to jump into kung fu beyond that, then don't start with Eunuch of the Western Palace. Start with, like I
yeah,
said, one of those other ones we just mentioned.
yeah. Maybe watch this one after you watched about 15 or
Yeah.
20 others, and then like when
Yeah,
you
yeah,
start
yeah.
when you
That's
start to
true.
expand your palate, then you
Yeah.
can watch movies like this.
Yeah. Because I mean, one thing about this, it is a little bit the plotting of it is a little bit different than your typical ones. Because really, you watch enough of these, you'll see the plot. It's generally a revenge plot of some sort, or this one school against another school,
Yeah.
you know, or things of that nature. This one's got a little bit more, I guess, with a political intrigue, if that's your thing. I mean, a lot of people are going to find that the boring, So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, what we do here on the Grindhouse is we let the professor, since he brings them to the table, we let him rate them and all that stuff. So the first thing that he does is the gutter rating, which is 0 through 10. We always describe it as what makes it grindhousey. All the elements put together, 0 through 10, 10 being the highest. So with that out of the way, what do you say for this one?
yeah, when it comes to kung fu movies, what you're looking for, of course, is a lot of kung fu fight and choreography scenes, and that they're well edited and well acted and well, the kung fu is great. I mean, the kung fu issue is never a problem really because they always get top notch kung fu fighters. So I mean, that's not a problem usually. It generally comes down to the how much is in the movie, how much fighting, and then how good the choreography is as far as lighting and editing and cinematography in those scenes. And this movie, unfortunately, like I said, this cut of it, this transfer of it, leaves a lot of the dark scenes too dark to really make out. And there's I don't know more than a handful of scenes that are outside at night sometimes, so you can't really see a whole lot of what's going on those. But I mean, it's not the whole movie isn't like that. I would think it would raise it a little bit more, both in the rating category of what what the Shuriken rating is going to be, as well as maybe what the Grindhouse score could be once those if you could see all those fight scenes better. Uh, but it's got a decent amount of fighting in it. It's just that what's in here isn't the most interesting. Like there's a little bit of weapons. There's that one weapon I mentioned where it's like a glorified spiked knuckle duster slash, brass knuckles or whatever that launch those spikes off, whatever. And but he only, like I said, only uses it once, maybe twice. Other than that, it's just your stand. It's good. I mean, like I said, they're good kung fu fighters. It's just not a whole lot of interesting. They're just good. It's the
Yeah.
best shot fight scenes, right? So it's kind of it's all right. It's passable. It's sort of mid tier level kung fu movie, I guess you could say, but with nothing, no overt gore. Because some of these will have that too, like Five Elements Ninjas, for instance. That's another one we did on the show that I would check out before this one. So there's no like super violent scenes. There's some, there's stabbings with weapons, spears and swords and things and whatnot. There's no arms and things getting lopped off like Cripple Masters, right? Or legs.
No, just the stuff at the beginning. That's it. That's the only thing.
Yeah, the stuff at the beginning is believe they don't show all of that. You don't want to see all of that because they're talking about how they did it. It's not like Cannibal Holocaust or something where somebody's getting their junk lopped off, but they're adults. This is happening. The eunuchs are made. They were kids basically, so you don't want to see. They show what they need to show that you don't want to see any more than that. I mean, it's implied and graphic enough. So there's that. I mean, I guess you could. That's definitely part of the Grindhouse score, I guess, right? And then the fight choreography that is here, not overly violent or bloody, but it's there. So I think I'll go with a 5 on the Grindhouse, 5 out of 10.
And what's your now we do star ratings, but we don't give out
Mm,
stars. That's
yeah,
too hoity-toity for the Grindhouse. So we have to bring it back down. We do it by genre. So this being a kung fu movie, you give out shurikens. So 0 through 5
that's right.
shurikens. Where's
So
this?
technically, the martial arts films do get stars, but they're throwing stars.
Yeah,
Shurikens, yeah.
there. Yeah, exactly. How many throwing stars you want to throw with this one?
I think I'll give this one. Like I said, it is kind of mid tier level. Also, if a remastered version of this movie were to come out, I would pick that up still,
Yeah,
and that might even raise it just a little bit. Like I said, there's some of these scenes that could really do with contrast levels being where they
yeah,
need to be. Like that, the final scene I think would be excellent looking too if it's remastered, the
I
snow and
agree.
whatnot.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm sure they shot that in the real snowy conditions because I'm pretty sure they didn't have like a snowmaker.
I
They
would.
didn't have the budget for that, I doubt. So they
I
probably
mean,
shot this.
this is a little bit later on. This is 1979, but I doubt
Yeah,
even by then they're
yeah. But I think I'll go with. Mm, I'll give it 2 3/4. That might be a little bit, higher than what some people would rate it. But I believe me, I know that we'll get, and I guess I'll have to do them at some point. Some of the bad kung fu movies somewhere down the line. I wouldn't call this a bad one. It's just not the most exciting.
of the ones that we have watched in this series so far. It's probably the worst, but that's
Yeah,
still
and that's probably the
not saying
lowest rating, right? Maybe I've given for a
without
kung fu
looking at it,
film.
yeah, probably yeah, because we haven't watched as many of those. But yeah,
Yeah,
well, there you go. We're getting closer to spooky season, so we're not quite going all the way there yet, though. So what do you got
yeah,
for us next month here on the Grindhouse?
yeah. We're not going to take it to horror yet because I think I did maybe a couple of horror movies in the last few episodes back or so. But it's been a long time since February, I believe, since Western's been on the Grindhouse gutter. So I'm going to go with a very grindhousey Western. The last Western, I don't remember. I think it was the last one. Was Cutthroats 9 was also a very grindhousey Western, right? But that one was more in the standard Western tradition. This is not in the necessarily standard tradition. I mean, it's in the standard time frame of a Western, but it's El Topo from Alejandro Jodorowsky. So it's a very hallucinogenic Western.
This should
One
be
of the, I guess, what you could call it, the first midnight movie, I believe, where this thing took off, did really well, and then it ended up in midnight showings and screenings a long time for a while.
yeah.
Again, other movies like that would be Rocky Horror Picture Show, for instance. So.
I know the title, but I've never seen it, so this should be interesting.
Oh, okay. Have you seen any of his other ones? He did like the Holy Mountain, Santa Sangre is one he's really known for too.
Doesn't ring a bell, but
No.
maybe.
He was supposed to direct Dune before it went to
Ah,
uh what's his name? Twin Peaks. David Lynch.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was supposed to have been Jodorowsky doing that, but it didn't pan out. But there's an interesting documentary on that out there for people to check that out. I think it's called Jodorowsky's Dune or something like that. A documentary on the making of what would have been Dune with storyboards and all kind of stuff that was whatever was completed. They show in that documentary.
Go grab your copy of El Topo, watch it, and then come back next month as we speak about it. So that's it. Hang out here on the channel. Go check out our other series, including Video Vortex, Hammer Horror in Order, where we watch the Hammer films, horrors and thrillers in the order in which they were released. Spookshow on Location. Donnie's been doing a lot of that. The newer one that we just started up, Spookshow on the Road. That one we'll kind of dip in and out of every now and then. So lots going on. And as we approach October and our 8th anniversary and everything, we're going to have a bunch of new and different stuff. And of course, become a patron at patreon.com/AA Spookshow for the bonus stuff. So for Donnie, Tiana, Professor Smoke, I'm Josh. We are the All American Spook Show, which comes out every Monday at 6 p.m. East, wherever you get your podcasts, or right here on the channel. So thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next month.